So let's just jump back in. Essentially, if you guys want to try to find Jinx, I think you guys should come up with an idea. Spitball ideas of how you can potentially find this person, this needle in a haystack. So I will leave that completely in your guys' hands.
Do we have like a break room or like a...
You can use whatever room you want, baby.
Canteen, then?
Like a canteen on the ship? Yeah, you guys got a canteen on the ship.
I'd like to invite my crew to the canteen.
Do I have canteen music? I might, actually. Let's see.
It better be the canteen music.
Well, I would, but we would get copyright striked to all hell. So I got some canteen music.
Just find a cover.
It still does not work, unfortunately. So you guys make it down to the canteen. Seems like
jazz.
Yeah, it sounds like some people are relaxing. It's real nice in here. You hear some war stories of people who are like, discussing their most recent mission with other friends of theirs who are all kind of meeting up. There's people from parts of the Navy who are, stationed on the ship and are kind of eager to hear what's going out in the field. And there's like pilots talking about the stuff that they've seen and how they fought like 20 TIE fighters by themselves and it was crazy. And everybody's like wowed by it, that kind of thing going on in here. And you guys sit down in like a booth and a fairly slender woman, human woman walks up and kind of passively gets your guys' drink. She's not trying to interrupt any conversation here or try to talk with you guys. She's just, getting some orders going. And you guys know from being a part of the not the resistance, but the rebellion, some of you, that a lot of this money is generated on the ship and goes back into the ship. So by spending money here, it actually helps the resistance so that they actively encourage people to, come and relax a bit.
Come and partake.
Yeah, it makes them do their missions better. So you guys are in this nice cantina, but seemingly left alone and out of the way of any prying ears, if that's a worry or not. Rush is with you.
All right, so how do we want to do this, boys?
Well, I don't have any personal overt smuggling contacts, and the last interaction with the smuggler I had was less than pleasant, and I kind of like nod to Crepe.
Well, go on.
No, I was waiting for you. Go ahead.
You
first.
Wow, this is awkward.
Super awkward. I can't remember if my history. That's what I was gonna say. I'm like 90% sure I had kind of a smuggling background. Like after my planet was basically invaded by the Empire, I think like for like 2 years or so, I was with smugglers before I decided to join the Resistance. Like that's where I learned how to fly and everything. If I'm not mistaken, that's my background.
Certainly hope you.
So I was gonna say, I hope I can roll some sort of memory check and remember kind of things about smuggling.
It's been like 30 to 40 years since the Empire fell. And you are 18, son.
Not the Empire, like the new, not First Order. There was just
the new
Republic. Destroyed our planet. Yeah, the New Republic. It was the New Republic. My apologies, I used the wrong terminology there.
Came and liberated. I say in air quotes.
Yes, they liberated my planet of all of its people, or at least my village of all of its people.
Okay.
I don't know
what kind of check are you wanting to do? Hurriedly look through your stuff.
Let's say it's all basically the same for me. I don't know. Can I do a streetwise?
A streetwise is more or less like things that you're doing
rather than like, checks. Sure.
So you would have to go to the knowledge skills for this.
Yeah. Let me do an outer rim check.
All right, two purples.
Or underworld, sorry, that's probably more appropriate.
That probably is more appropriate.
Oh yeah.
You recount a story about how you've heard about these smugglers on some kind of planet in the mid-rim, and they like to go there to essentially, like, you know, band together and create like pirate ships that can go out, and 10 Ton stops you and it's just like, that's, I don't think you understand, but you're hearing a story of like a child's nursery. And you're like, no, that's not real. I'm sorry.
Well, that's unfortunate. I would like to give a boost to if Crate is going to make a check. I'd like to give a boost to his.
What would I be making a check toward?
I was just
like
thinking,
underworld knowledge. That's what he was trying to do. You don't have to do.
Oh,
anything
okay.
like
Yeah.
I'm unsure still what I'm making a check toward.
You're not. You don't have to.
That's
Don't
what
worry about it.
You do what
my
you want.
knowledge checks, by the way, are 1 across the board.
Yeah,
FYI.
nobody's is very good. You, by the way, you can add that boost to the next person that does anything. It doesn't have to be
Perfect.
a specific person.
That's exactly what I'll do then.
Any other plans, boys?
Well, then I suppose the default answer is Tatooine.
That is a good answer, yes.
So I'll make an underworld check with a boost dice, see if I maybe know something about Tatooine, maybe a
that absolutely
cantina or
works.
something. That's
he rings your mind about, you know, the main place for scum and villainy, and you're like, oh yeah, Tatooine. In fact, it rings some things in your mind of places that you've heard of that could potentially be a good smuggling spot. Obviously, Tatooine is a good one. Tatooine's more like you want to get things illegally around, whereas this seems more like a situation where they're just trying to get something undetected from one place to another. And there's a couple other places for that, obviously. You know, you guys, as players, not as characters, know more about Ord Mantell and being more about like gangs and the Shadow Collective and stuff there, but there's a couple other places in the galaxy too. There's like Hutta and Nar Shaddaa, and actually most of Hutt space is pretty good for finding these kind of people. You're more likely to find a smuggler who's doing a job like that in Hutt space than you are to find it in the Outer Rim.
Does Tatooine not count as Hutt space?
Tatooine is on the Outer Rim, so it's not technically Hutt. I mean, it's pretty far away from Hutt space. Actually, let's just take you to the map so that way you can actually get a good
discuss
representation.
what and what is not Hutt space.
Yep. So you'll see that obviously that big old blue area is all Hutt space, whereas Tatooine is off over here. So like in Hutt space, you have Tordaria, you have Nal Hutta, which is more commonly referred to as just Hutta, Nar Shaddaa. Those are the big ones.
I think we should stop off on Holliston. I heard they have great sauce.
Oh, and you are currently, if I ping you guys to where you're at, you're down over here.
Oh dear.
Okay.
So if you wanted to
do that,
if you wanted to go up over to here, which is Tatooine, that's a shorter drive than to go all the way over to here and potentially have to go to Tatooine. That's just like me as a tactician telling you that's something to consider. Not me as a GM saying like that's one way or the other.
Well, I suppose Tatooine's on the way to Hutt space.
Okay.
We can always see if there's a market for these crystals there. And if not, then we'll have to start breaking some real legs.
So it'll take about, what's the days on that? I gotta check my own map here. That's like a good couple days worth of hyperspace to drop you guys off over there. So you have an option. You could go in with the insurrection, or you could just take your X-Wings, because X-Wings have a couple days worth of life support. so they can actually take you to these places without having to really worry about bringing the insurrection along with you. I'll leave that up to you.
I would say at the very least bring the insurrection with us to Tatooine.
Okay.
And then if we need to go further to like Nar Shaddaa or something, we can jaunt out on the X-Wings.
Yeah, they'll either provide you guys with like a transport or kick you guys out in the X-Wings, especially going into Hut Space. Hut Space is probably not somewhere they will willingly just travel willy-nilly.
Right.
Because that could cause some political issues. It's kind of like, it would be like the equivalent of traveling to North Korea right now. You know, like in our current political climate, as an American, traveling to North Korea probably is not the safest thing to do.
Don't love me in with those Americans. I'm a Canadian.
You're a Canadian? What am I doing under your service?
Oh, man, rough.
Wow.
Space Canadian.
Cats.
Anyways,
I was expecting Canada has a military.
Oh, I thought that
Why?
was the joke. So you guys, over the course of, a couple hours talking in this cantina, and getting a little more relaxed than usual, and you guys are able to have a chance to discuss any other things with each other if that's something you want to do. You do hatch a plan to go to Tatooine and go to one of the many areas there that you can potentially find smugglers. So if you guys would like to hatch that plan, you let me know when. If there's anything else you guys like to do in the meantime, go for it.
Ready for the mission, personally.
I agree.
Want to shoot things, get paid.
I don't want to call Crate
That's
in
what I'm on for.
to what constitutes quarters.
Okay. So privately,
Yes.
do you start undressing? I have music for that too.
Bow, bow.
We are literally never going to get anywhere in this campaign if you're going to, every time I pull one of my soldiers aside, that you're going to make, sex jokes.
No, go ahead and have a
Every
conversation with
time.
him.
My body is ready.
Crate, we spent a lot of time guiding those hoity-toity ones, the rich folk on the wild expeditions. Do we know anybody specifically there? Any names we could drop, perhaps?
Is there a memory check I can make? I'd like to make that now.
You guys could just make this up on the spot. It's your guys' history.
Yeah, John Stiffington. You sure you want me to make things up? My intelligence is 1, you might remember.
That
Also
is
a
very
terrible
true.
bard.
You are a terrible bard in our D&D.
Bards don't have to have high intelligence.
You could make a discipline check to see if you're gonna remember. Difficulty of 1.
Right, I forgot to add that. Hooray!
Yeah, you remember some dude.
You remember.
Who is it?
I vaguely remember the guy he's talking about, though the name escapes me. Crate's never been big on names, seeing as he's not really a people person.
Right. You know the face.
I remember, yes, the face.
So what are you looking for specifically here, Alex?
So I'm trying to find somebody who is recognizable enough that we can name drop as if we were representatives of them. Be like, yeah, I'm looking for, some crystals for this hotshot guy. Does anyone know anything about that?
We just make that up.
Yeah.
Like, we don't. It doesn't have to be real. Like, we can make it up when we get to. It doesn't have to be a real person. Is what I'm saying.
That is true.
They're smugglers. Like, their whole business is like, well, I've never heard of John Stiffington. Well, that's exactly why he's the best smuggler around.
Fast ship. You
Well,
know,
we're
that
not
kind of
we're
thing.
not we're not talking about a smuggler, right? We're talking about a rich person that we would supposedly know.
Oh,
Oh,
for
yeah.
the crystals, getting the crystals. I
Gotcha.
see where you're going with this. Okay.
The person who's paying for said crystals.
I'll tell you what, I will give you 2 boosts to whatever deception checks you guys are making when you get there for that. Like you come up with a name that you vaguely remember of a guy who may or may not still be alive.
Stan Smithington.
But no, you guys, unless anyone wants to do anything, you guys do convince Captain Anderson to drop you guys off at Tatooine, where he basically tells you that he is going to take the insurrection back to Polis, because they're essentially still investigating things, and he's going to stop off at Dakar and talk to High Command and everything. But he does give you guys the option. Do you want a transport, or do you want your X-Wings?
I've had a bad
Transport.
experience with the X-Wing, so I choose transport.
I don't know. I kind of want my X-wing.
Transport.
I mean, X-Wings are a little obvious, and a transport is a little more vague and kind of under the radar. So that's kind of like, just from a GM perspective, that's kind of the question here.
Okay. I'll be sneaky. For duty.
For no, you need to sabotage things for duty.
Well, sneaking is. Oh.
Oh,
All right.
okay. So you guys do get dropped off at Tatooine a couple days later. You guys have had a chance to, obviously discuss things about, where you're going and everything. And you do land in Mos Eisley. You're like, that's the biggest spot on Tatooine. If there's going to be smugglers there, that's where we're going. And you land at one of the various docking ports there. Strangely enough, because you haven't really experienced this as a group before, no real docking procedure. They're just like, oh, a ship. And they just like put you down in a place, right? You're not like having to go through all these hoops that you normally have to go through on bigger planets. Like Polis, for instance, even though that is a small outpost. And you guys land, and you guys have all of Mos Eisley to go and explore. Where would you like to go to try to find this smuggler?
First, I need you to start saying Mos Eisley.
Mos Eisley.
I thought it was Mos Eisley. Is it Mos?
I'm not 100%, but I need you to start saying it regardless.
Actually, a little funny story here. George Lucas, on the set of all of the movies, he purposely did not correct the actors when they were pronouncing things that were different from everybody else, because he was like, that would make sense in this world because different dialects exist. So
It's true.
it's kind of like potato and potato.
No, it's just potato.
Well, I just looked it up, and according to the video from episode 4, Obi-Wan does say Mos Eisley, so I
There
stand
you go.
corrected.
I mean, you say how you want, man. I like the idea of different dialects.
I've just never even, I've watched that movie 100 times. I've never heard anybody, I've never noticed he says it differently, but everybody I've ever seen refer to it says Mos Eisley.
There you go.
Anyway, go on.
Where would you guys like to go within this spaceport?
Cantina.
Straight to the cantina.
I don't know. I'm just joking. I don't know. Wherever the commander says.
Cantina.
You guys walk through many a street of lots of different types of aliens speaking all sorts of different languages. You guys come across a small caravan of banthas that all have Jawas, and the 2 of the Jawas are arguing with some winged creature that you guys haven't seen before, and they're arguing over some droids, and the droid just like starts like falling apart basically, and the dude with the wings starts getting even angrier, and you're just like, this place is the Wild West. But you do eventually make it into the Mos Eisley cantina, and there's some cantina music going. Are you serious? Or do I have to here? Let's. I gotta go back to my one cantina song that I have. I gotta add to the list now. And you guys look around. Lots of people keeping their heads down, not looking at each other. There's a couple people sitting by themselves. What are you looking for?
Somebody alone without a drink.
What kind of person alone without a drink?
Why don't you tell us who has no drink, how many people there are, and what they look like, and then he'll decide from those.
There's several. There's many aliens that are sitting alone. Some of them passed out. Others, weapon not drawn, but on the table in front of them. There's a couple humans that are shifty-eyed and kind of looking about as
Don't
if
talk
they're
about my
waiting for
people like that. I know you saw one of us.
There is one of Six Pounder's people who, as you guys pass in the doorway to walk into the cantina, he goes, Bashuta.
Is that the only word we know?
That's the only word that I know that they know.
What does that even mean? Did we?
I
ever
don't
look
know.
that
It just says it in the Force
up?
Awakens.
I know.
Anyways.
One asshole in the sand.
Anyone who looks like they speak our language.
Most people in the Outer Rim could potentially speak Common or Basic. So you do find a couple people who are human looking and could potentially, and Twi'leks and stuff like that, and could more than likely speak Basic.
You know, I'm Chagrian, so I'm not really looking for humans. No humans in the squad, probably better off looking for an alien.
There's a Twi'lek that stands out to you.
Sure. Well, first I'll go to the bar, get a couple drinks.
They're like
Cheap
really
ones.
bright blue in liquid.
And then bring them over to the Twi'lek.
She also has a drink in front of her, unfortunately.
Well, then I sit down and I drink one immediately, and then I put the cup at the end of the table.
Her drink, by the way, you notice is kind of a darker liquid. Kind of like fades from one like dark black to like more of a darker gray from top to bottom. And on the top is like a weird like liquid skull, kind of like, you know, like a latte. And you're like, huh. And she just like sucks it down real quick, leans back, and goes, so what can I do for you?
Sorry, is the seat taken?
It is now. She's all shifty-eyed.
Well, I was hoping to discuss a little bit of business.
Business. What do you need? You need something taken away from Tatooine?
You need a date?
Do you say that?
I didn't say that.
No, he does not say that.
Well, actually, I'm not really looking for something taken away from Tatooine. Looking for a bit of exotic goods.
Oh, exotic.
A patron of mine is looking for an item. I was hoping maybe we could take a bit of a walk and talk and maybe discuss it.
Oh, I don't walk. You stay here. It's safe here.
Understandable. I can respect that.
You guys notice that she turns to like the middle of the cantina and looks at somebody and kind of like nods. And, you know, a couple of you look back and see like she was nodding at the bartender essentially, as if like, you okay over there? And she's like, I'm okay. Like that's the nod she is given.
So I represent a patron who has quite a few creds, and he is very interested in obtaining old artifacts, specifically crystalline ones. He sent me here to ask about Stygian crystals. Have you ever heard of them?
Maybe I have, maybe I haven't.
Can I make a check on that?
Yeah, are you trying to see if she's lying to you?
Can I make like a...
You wanted to say insight, didn't you?
I did.
D&D
Perception,
rules.
I guess?
A deception, you said?
Perception.
Perception. Oh, yeah. 2 difficulty.
Would my boost from earlier apply here, or is that just for the deception part?
That was just for the deception part. She she doesn't seem cagey or standoffish. She's just seeming like she's trying to be safe about any information she gives out.
I'm there as well, correct?
Yeah, you're all here.
Can I kind of make a perception check and then kind of like tip my head towards them if I find anything?
Yeah. 2 difficulty. Eventually. There you go. Yeah, again, kind of seems the same way to you too, in fact. Not lying, not, standoffish, just not necessarily showing her hand. As you should expect from someone like this. It would be more suspicious if they were just like, here's all this information.
Well, it's good to know. Many vendors I've spoken to have outright said they don't have any of these particular crystals. If my patron were to transfer a small sum to you and potentially your associates, would that get me potentially a list of inventory? And
potentially. Where are you wanting these to go?
well, I have a ship in the hangar. We can take them off Tatooine. We're just really looking for any sellers who are willing to part with some of their inventory.
I'll have to get back to you. I mean, what I could do is essentially, I'm gonna go, I'm gonna go find people who sell this stuff. Obviously, I'm not someone that, I'm not a thief. I'm not gonna go steal from anybody. But I'm gonna go find someone who's stock.
Well, if you do search, my patron again has mentioned that some of the finest craft people.
She interrupts you. Who's this patron? You keep mentioning him.
Well, I'm not really expected to share the information here of all places, of course, but if you must know, it's Mr. Kanar.
Can I make a deception check? 1 difficulty with your, or 2 difficulty with your 2 boosts. Sorry.
It's gonna be the most epic fail. It's gonna be no, it can't be a coercion. That doesn't make any sense. Fucking using a destiny point.
Okay. You're gonna re-roll one?
I'm just kidding.
You could. They're there.
I encourage it.
You might as
I
well.
have 2.
Yeah, but I'm gonna be using some. I'm warning you now. You probably should use one before I just blast them all.
All right.
Are you re-rolling? Oh, why not re-roll the green?
Because the blue had nothing on it.
Yeah, but the blue has 2 blank sides on it. You only have like a 4 or 2 in 4 chance to get a blank on that,
Reroll
which
the
is
green.
very re-roll the green. Don't re-roll the blue. The greens only have 1 blank.
These dice never make any sense.
Yeah, I'll have to show you the physical dice on these days. That succeeds. She kind of, at first, you see like her eyebrows doing the thing, like, oh yeah, okay, yeah, sure, whatever. And then you say the name, and she's like, kind of relaxes a bit. Yeah, maybe I've heard of him.
Well, I certainly hope so. But I, again, shouldn't be disclosing too much information. The only specific piece I would add is that my benefactor often believes that some of the best crystals are mined and shipped with the assistance of someone named Jinx, one of the more trusted shippers of said goods. And if she were to handle the shipment herself, he would be very inclined to tip any and all people who help make that happen. So you see, if I make that happen and you make that happen, we both could receive substantial compensation.
She kind of leans forward. Mind you, both of her arms or one of her arms is on the table, like elbow up. The other arm is under the table. And she kind of eyeballs like all of you,
On her
squints a
gun.
bit, and goes, "So what you're telling me? Now let me just get this right. What you're telling me is that if I get you this what was her name again?
Well, I don't know if it's a real name, of course. Many people in this field deal with aliases, but from what he has told me, they call her Jinx.
Jinx. So if I get you this Jinx, you pay me as if I'm transferring things, but I'm not transferring it because she's transferring it.
Correct. You would receive a small finder's fee, as would I, for my
Smuggler, are you
assistance in this
unfamiliar
matter.
with middlemen?
She kind of leans back, eyes widen a bit. Now that sounds like an easy job. But obviously, you know, there may be some additional surcharges on finding this person, depending on how hard they are to find. I think you understand, right?
Of course, if you would like to discuss it with myself or Mr. Kanar, we could arrange a meeting.
That is interesting to me. Let me. Are you guys staying here in Tatooine, or are you off planet? Where are you from?
Only briefly. We're here for a very short time, unfortunately. We are traveling to several other systems.
She interrupts you. She goes, "Fortunately, trust me, you don't want to be here long. You know what? Let me get back to you tomorrow. One day, come meet me back here. We'll arrange something. We'll see what I can come up with."
Of course. And I'd kind of motion to the bartender if I can, and point to her drink, and do another motion for one more.
Yeah. She he looks over at her, she nods, and he goes, "One more Void Ghost coming up."
We're famous.
You see it. Well, you're not famous. Your old characters are mildly famous. You see him pouring the drink, and she goes, "If I'm not here, you just you ask for Court. If Court is the name you're asking for, he will point you in my direction. Otherwise, I may be tied up. You know, there's other business people that I have to talk to on the planet. You know, I'm real important here. But yeah, tomorrow, meet me here tomorrow. Same time."
Of course, I understand. We are all very important business people looking for some very important items. It was a pleasure, and we hope to see you tomorrow.
Yeah, she just she stands up before you guys can, leaves the shot glass there on the table, walks past the bar, grabs the drink, downs it from the guy, puts it down, slams it down on the bar, and just flips him a finger gun and winks. Wow. And then starts walking out. But I want one of you, not multiples of you. I want one of you to make a perception check. One difficulty.
Can I do it?
Yeah.
Actually, that's coming. No, I don't want to do it.
Do you
What
want
is
me
the
to do it?
perception you said?
Yeah. I think Nuke and Daze have the highest perception.
Yeah, I think I
I've got
Daisy, you can do
one
this.
yellow one.
Yeah,
I
so
got
you
it.
need to roll.
I got it.
One difficulty.
One difficulty.
Mm-hmm.
Perception.
And yeah.
Nailed it.
You see as she walks out, she does like an arm pump, like a yes, like a success. she seems pretty, for whatever reason, she seems pretty hyped about this, and she walks out, and you guys are left there at the cantina. What would you like to do in this 24-hour period?
What was this person's name again?
She said, "Ask for Court."
No, the person we met. Did we get her name?
No.
No. Okay.
Oh, like the person you just talked to?
Yeah.
Let's be like,
I mean, if she told you to ask for Court,
Okay.
you can put two and two together.
Yeah.
That's
Just
probably
making
her.
sure.
I'll even.
I don't know. We're fucking talking around every kind of point that exists. She's not giving us any straight answers. It's weird that she would be like, "Yes, my name is this."
Yeah, that's true. but that's the name she said.
That's Co-Erty.
That's her name is Court. Court. Qort.
I mean, you're not wrong.
No, that's right. You know, different dialects.
With my full drink, I kind of motioned to you guys in the open booth.
Sit down immediately.
More cantina time.
I mean, is anybody else gonna sit?
Yeah, they probably do.
I'll stand in a corner somewhere.
Creeper. I like that. No, I'll get back to that. Okay, the rest of you sit. Daze or Nuke is standing in a corner somewhere.
So I don't know how much of that you were listening to, but it's great. It looks like we remembered the guy with the face accurately, you know, with the slick back hair and the long nose.
Yeah, the guy with the face, I remember.
You know, the dude with the eyebrows and the face.
Mr. Kanar has served us well. Unfortunately, we do not have a lot of money to pay anybody. So we need to figure out a way to, at the very least, fake this information. We may need Rush's help.
Rush, meanwhile, has been sitting at the ship making sure that nobody steals it.
Well,
What about our AI? Oh, wait.
Mm-hmm. What are you trying to do here?
Who, me?
Yeah. Are you gonna have him like?
I'm just trying to. Well, not him specifically. Like right now.
Okay.
I figured we'll come up with a plan by tomorrow, and hopefully by tomorrow will be like another session.
Unlikely.
Well, at any rate, we'll go back to the ship later and kind of hash out what exactly it is that we need to do. But really, the thing we need is a location of where to drop the crystals so we can give an ambush. Potentially find and capture Jinx. Find out what they know.
During this time, by the way, Nuke standing in the corner. A man goes walking by you and bumps into you. It's a big weak way.
Who does he bump into?
He bumps into Nuke.
I want to make a perception check, assuming I saw that happen in my peripheral.
2 purple, yeah. We'll see.
You said it was a big what?
A weak way.
Weak way. Which ones are those?
They're kind of like lizardy fish-like. Here, I will find a picture real quick.
I can look it up real quick. Okay, I see which ones.
Yeah, WEEQA.
Yeah.
QUAY.
Oh, notice nothing.
So he bumps into you, and the drink he's carrying hits the ground and shatters. And when that happens, the band does the whole like record scratch and just like stops playing. And you're like, and everybody's in here and they all kind of look. And he's like, hey, Awunawanga, hey, hoocha. And he's kind of like starting to push you, like, hey, why'd you do that?
Step between him and Nuke and be like, step on in common.
You didn't see it.
You said I saw it.
So
saw that.
You are sitting at the booth still as this happens, and you're kind of seeing.
I didn't see it happen at all.
No, well, you see it happen now. You just don't have really a chance to react before this is happening. But you get up and you start to go over there. What are you doing, Nuke?
I'm like, hey, buddy, whoa. I'm like just backing up, like you ran into me, man. Like I don't know what you want. Like what are you talking about? Like I don't know what's up.
Another man who has, essentially a fairly poor-looking jacket on. Looks like he's very dusty. Kind of walks up to you and kind of looks at him and looks at you, and he goes, He says you spilled his drink.
Me? Spill his
I'll
drink?
walk
No,
up to the
no.
So
No.
Crate
He
now
made it to
arrives
me.
on the scene.
So I want to step between them. Like, step on is what I say.
Just like, are you trying to intimidate him?
I mean, if he wants to get intimidated, he can get intimidated. I'm not deliberately trying to intimidate him, but if he wants to fight, he's gonna die.
Gotcha. He sees you step up to him, and he kind of like, he's big, if not
Recall
slightly bigger
that
than you.
the Gank are some of the most feared race in the whole of the galaxy.
That's true.
So I'm not gonna explicitly do it, but if he gets intimidated, it's on him.
Make an intimidation check with a blue. 1 difficulty.
Intimidation, coercion.
Coercion. Is there an intimidation? Or
There's
is that
coercion. Coercion is intimidation. You
Okay,
said one
we'll do
difficulty, 1 blue.
And 1 black because there is now a scene. We'll see how that goes. Hopefully, it goes not bad. It goes not bad. Good.
Oh, it could have gone great for me.
So he kind of like backs up a little bit, and the guy says in like with a weird Huttese language something back to Nuke, and the guy, the man standing
When
there
he
goes,
speaks again in Huttese, I want to backhand him across the face.
"Oh, jeez."
This is escalating.
I don't know about this.
This has escalated very quickly.
Like, if he's intimidated, he's not going to continue insulting the person I'm defending.
No, he
If
didn't
he's-
sound like he was insulting. It was more like he's trying to
People
say
don't
something
mutter
under his
shit
breath.
under their breath in another language that you don't understand without it being insulting. He gets backhanded across the face.
Oh gosh.
And on the other hand,
Always with the aggression.
backhand with a
Yeah.
left, pull the gun with a right, and it's in his face. Is
It's
he back
always-
down or not? Does
Hand
he
on the
back
gun.
down or not?
We're gonna take our second break there.
Yikes.
Oh jeez.
Not the best.
No, this is fine. Trust me.
This is fine. Everything's fine.
I did this.